Okay, we're live. Welcome to episode number 2, Love, Peace, Oolichan, Greece. I'm joined by my director, Marianne Brørup Weston. I said the last name properly?
You said it right.
Okay, yeah, we got the background. It's actually the Netherlands, and I guessed you were going to wear something floral.
Yeah.
And you did. Maybe just introduce yourself. I gave you somewhat of an introduction. Let the people know, what it is you do, and yeah.
Sure. So I'm Marianne. I'm a settler from Copenhagen, Denmark, very close to the Netherlands. We have lots of tulips there too. And I've been living in Terrace for many, many years, raised my 4 children here, and accidentally, via art school and a career as a interior designer and a whole bunch of other stuff, ended up doing theater. So I did community theater for quite a long time. And then around the year 2000, I got kind of creatively stuck, and I tripped over a First Nations play called The Rez Sisters, and decided that I wanted to direct that, which was fairly presumptuous of me. But I was a good director already at that point. I'd done a lot of that stuff, and it certainly threw me into what I think was a karmic thing, that I needed to get to know the people on whose land I was actually practicing theater.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was 20 years ago. And during that time, I've been in and out of doing Indigenous theater, but keeping in touch with it all along. And about 2 years ago, decided to pick up a project that I'd been working on in the early 2000s with Larry Gnu. And he passed away when we were writing this play about residential school, right before it was finished. And Native Earth Performing Arts, where you've been, were going to perform it as a Canadian premiere. Like, it was a really big deal. And then Larry very tragically and suddenly passed away, and the whole project was suspended. And then over time, I had become kind of friends with the family, and I had also promised Larry I would always, before I stopped doing theater, I would present his work to his people. And then that started to weigh heavily on me, but I had a lot of learning to do. Like, I mean, when I came to Canada when I was 15, I didn't know anything about the Indigenous people. Nothing. The only thing I knew was European history and some European languages. So it took a long time for me to understand, and especially to understand what were done to Indigenous people by the settlers that came here, the colonizers, and to understand that on a level where I get it. Because to begin with, it was just, people were telling me this, and I went, yeah, well. So now I think I get it, and it took me 15, 20 years to do that. And my best friends I have now are the Indigenous people, and I feel at home here now. I feel welcomed. And I felt like I was finally ready to jump off the deep end and take Larry's play, which is an original play about residential school, a true story with survivors still living, making it a very, very sensitive project for the people who come to see it, and those of us who are involved with it as well. So the project isn't just putting on a pretty play. Mm-hmm. It has the ability to promote healing and reconciliation, but it also has the ability to trigger and to cause harm if we're not really careful. So it's a way bigger project than any other I've done before, but it's also way more exciting.
Definitely. I think we should tell people that I'm involved in the play.
Yeah.
I'm one of the supporting actors, if you will. Supporting role?
I would say that the beauty of the play is
it's an ensemble.
It's an ensemble piece. And to that extent, that means that everyone carries the same amount of weight. But in terms of the story, which is Larry's true life story of when he was in his late teens and he went from TB Sanatorium to Edmonton Residential School. And he was a year behind or 2 years behind because he'd been in the SAN and home correspondence school. And so he gets thrown in with these other boys and he becomes best friends with Gunny, Harold, also known as Dear Boy and Haida, played by none other than Kiefer Collison.
Thank you. Well, not yet.
Not yet. Well, yeah. Kinda. You've been being Gunny for quite a while.
Yeah, it's weird.
But those two young men they form a very special friendship in the play, and that's the beautiful thing about the play. It operates on a whole bunch of levels. It operates on the level of what was the relationship with these supervisors in the school, most of whom were really mean in different ways and unstable, some of them. But one at least was a very good for the boys. And that's what the story kind of revolves around, Mr. O'Keefe. And that was the original name of the play until we didn't know if Mr. O'Keefe was alive or dead. And we decided we weren't going to call it O'Keefe, but that was his real name. And I have met 3 gentlemen who were at the school. What happens when they get to the school and they start working with this English supervisor and they form a student council, they decide to go beyond just dances and basketball and stuff and start addressing the abuse that's going on in the school. And that comes out kind of really slowly in the play. And everybody's role in that and in the end causing a riot where they put the school on lockdown. And this is true. It actually happened, and it was the supervisors all locked themselves in their rooms, and then eventually the RCMP came and life went on. But they were they were fed up on many levels, and there are a number of storylines in the play that all culminate in just to make a perfect storm for the riot to take place.
Now, bringing it back to my first experience with Bunk 7, I think was we had, I guess you would call them auditions.
Yes.
When we had the first couple readings, and we were all reading for different parts. But I think the first time when I was like, I'm gonna see this through, because I've never acted before. I've never done live theater, especially on this scale, which is a pretty big step to start just for the first time, I think. Is when we sat down and Nick was there and Chris came in, Chris who's playing Ernie, and when he started reading and we were all reading together, I started being like, this is gonna be big, this is gonna be real. And, Matt and then Adrian came in for Doug the Slug. And, we did that first read-through with all of us there. And Darius, I don't think, was there yet, actually.
No, we hadn't found a head. We had separate auditions. We had actually 4 heads. And then we had 2. And then I thought, I'll cast them both because it'll play itself out. And then we got Darius, who's perfect.
Yeah, no, so I wasn't going to do it. I was like, I don't think, I don't know. But then after that, because I'm not used to being scared, especially speaking in front of people. But I think performing is a lot different than, emceeing an event. So I kind of enjoyed the fear, somewhat of just even the thought of being on stage and having it messed up. Now I'm but after that reading, I just knew that this is going to be something it's important.
Yeah.
And it almost felt, it's kismet and serendipitous that, I'm Haida, obviously,
Yeah.
and I get to play Gune, who's Haida,
Yeah.
and I may have lineage to Gune in my family tree as well, which is even crazier. And Adrian is the grandson of Larry Gnu, who's playing Doug the Slug in the play, and it's just everything kind of seems like it was somewhat meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seemed too good to be true. And then Corona. Corona came. The Rona. So we were actually, where were we supposed to be this coming weekend?
We were supposed to be in Gitlick
This weekend?
Yeah. On Saturday.
Oh, that would have been the show.
Yeah, that was the show.
That was the show.
It was going to be the most difficult show to pull off because we weren't in a professional regular theater. We were going into a community, a center, or a big one. But it's Larry's hometown.
Yeah, that would have.
There's a street called Gnu up there in Gitlick, which used to be New Ianch. So yeah, this would have been our third show.
Mm-hmm.
We would have opened in Terrace, and then we were going to Smithers
for the long weekend. That's right.
That was on past Sunday, and then on Saturday to Gitlick, and then Rupert next weekend, and then Kitimat on the 13th of June. So all of that was.
And we're supposed to go to Port Alberni,
where there was a residential school. And we were invited to go to a provincial theatre festival and showcase and open the festival with Bunk number 7. So we had all the plans made. We're getting on the ferry, going down or a big Haida canoe down to Port Alberni. So that festival was canceled. So I thought, oh, well, that's out the window. And then because I'm the eternal optimist, I thought, well, next year we could go to, because they'll be hosting it somewhere. Hopefully it'll be Port Alberni.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was that connection there, because there was another school there. And a lot of the kids from here in the Northwest and the North Coast, they went either to Edmonton or they went to Port Alberni. So some of Larry's siblings, like the brother next to him, who inherited his name, Ray, he didn't go to Edmonton, he went to Port Alberni.
Mm-hmm.
And so did Sadie, his younger sister.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, obviously everyone's been impacted, but it's somewhat, I think, maybe a little blessing in disguise that we really get to fine tune it up, because I feel the pressure to honor what Larry has done. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Yeah. I think he's a constant presence in the room every time, or even when we're in Zoom meetings, it's always in our brain to somewhat do justice.
Yes.
To this piece of art.
Yeah.
And it's a good pressure, but before the pandemic, I was grinding my lines every single day. Like I'm stressing. I have like dreams about forgetting my lines.
Oh, that's an actor thing. Yeah. All actors do that.
Oh.
I have dreams about going into a theater and not knowing what play it is I'm directing.
Yeah, I was on the stage and it's like people who I'm unfamiliar with, and I'm wondering why I'm there, and there's people there, and I'm just like, what the heck?
That's how you process, and then you learn how to take that fear and turn it into creative energy, and you learn how to harness it and make it work for you, and you learn to build the ensemble so that you and your actors provide a safety net for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and then you get the experience. The difference between live theater and film or Zoom is that you there's chemistry between the performers and the audience. Well, you will know this from stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So, and that adds something undefinable that you cannot achieve any other way, which is why, even though we're going to do a radio play in the meantime, the plan is that we don't age out before we get a chance.
Yeah, hopefully next year, like I'm starting to show my age a bit, playing a teenager again, but I feel confident that, if everything goes well, eventually the theaters can start filling back up and people will want to see it. I don't think people need to see it. I just think it's for the people. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
yeah.
That was the one circled on the calendar, was the show on Kid Like Dynamics for me.
Yes.
Just like that, the first two with like a tune up, and obviously it would be great. But I think going to Kid Like Dynamics to perform this play is going to be something extremely special. I'm so excited to do it and bring our A game. So hopefully I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. I don't think we can do it this year.
I know we have a plan B, but I think the plan B is already evaporating, and plan C is, and I've started booking dates for next year this time. There's so much talk about a second wave of COVID-19 that the theaters are simply going to not take that chance and open up. And we can't. The other thing is, even if we could convince them to let us do it, we can't do that to the elders. Yeah. It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, and you're right, I think we all breathed a sigh of relief when we found this, what's been a gift of time to deepen our work, to deepen the relationships, to really work on the cultural pieces that underpin how the boys manage to form their own tribe in these adverse situations with all these mean white mans. So we've kept at it, which is also, it keeps us connected to each other. Although Zoom has its limitations.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the first time I think I've seen you since the one rehearsal in maybe early March. Like maybe the first weekend of March was the last time.
I think I remember we stood
around. It might have even been the end of February.
We stood in a great big circle. We were already social distancing.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, that was the time. And I got really sick after that. Remember, you brought me a care package that one time.
Yeah.
I was sick for like maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I just kept having to say, I can't make it today.
Yeah.
I can't make it today. And then I got better and the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And I had like 8 out of the 10 things. The only thing I didn't have of corona was a cough and like the so I had everything else, but I don't know. I've never been that sick before. I had to go to the hospital.
Maybe it was.
I had to get hooked up to an IV. I couldn't move, and it was worse at nights. And then I would start feeling better, and I would think, oh, I can do this. And I would get hit hard. I would get slammed hard. And I'm a big guy. I lost like 17, 18 pounds in the time that I was sick. Gained it all back, thanks to quarantine. But it was, I've never been so sick. Like, I just couldn't. And my mental health was starting to get bad because, like, I just wanted to get better. Yeah. I just wanted to be better, like, because, at the time I was a stay-at-home dad. So it was tough, having to lean on other people, and I was really stretching my partner thin with all the duties of the house, and, I could tell she was getting a bit annoyed because there would be times that I would be fine, like I'd be sitting there watching TV, and I'd be okay, and then at night, all hell broke loose in my immune system. I don't know what was going on. So I don't think it was corona. I just think it was a bad influenza. It could have been. I don't know. Like, there's all that speculation.
Not testing,
Yeah, so I don't.
And they're finding that, like, some people get different symptoms and children get different
Everyone's
symptoms.
It's mutated. So did I have an early strand that didn't have the cough and, I don't know.
Anyway, you're here, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, but that was kind of the journey of my intro to the pandemic was I was sick and I was scared. Yeah. Because I remember being super sick on the couch, and they canceled the sporting events, and I was just like, oh my goodness.
Oh boy. Yeah. Now it's bad. There's no sports. Yeah.
We went out and bought a couple bags of rice right then and there. I think that was the extent of our panic buying. Oh, yeah? Because we were actually low on rice, so we're like, I bet people are going to buy rice.
Well, we had actually run out of toilet paper, and it was like, oh, no, we got to go in and buy toilet paper, and people are going to accuse us of hoarding, but we didn't have any in the house. So.
Yeast is one thing that I have been... We were a yeast family. We were, like, my girlfriend, she bakes all the time. Like, homemade bread, the kids love it. It's like their favorite thing to have for breakfast, and it's an easy snack for them. We ran out of yeast. Finally found some instant yeast. Could only buy 1 pack, which is fine. We don't need too much, but it's not the kind of yeast we need. I just don't understand why people are still hoarding yeast.
Well, I guess they're just starting to bake. Like generally people nowadays just buy their baking.
Yeah.
They don't make it themselves, but now they're all into sourdough and.
Yeah, I seen the sourdough craze.
Yeah.
We actually had the instant coffee whip. Did you ever try that?
No.
They whip instant coffee into like this. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
It's like adding a shot of espresso to your coffee.
Oh, okay.
I actually have a spoonful in here. I just had a little spoonful into my coffee. ASMR. Anyways, yeah, no. So bunk number 7, we're gonna be doing We're gonna make like a trailer.
Yeah.
For CFNR, that's going to be coming out on Indigenous Peoples Day, formerly known as Aboriginal Day, formerly known as June 21st.
Yep.
Because it wasn't anything before. Oh no, summer solstice.
Summer solstice. That's right.
The longest day of the year.
The longest day of the year. And then we will also, in collaboration with CFNR, which is like this, another perfect thing that happened, is by doing the radio play, we're building the relationships, we're understanding the story better, but we can also build the soundscape now without having to worry about lights and props and set. So when we go back at another level, we have one thing already built that just we can tweak or whatever. But so that's what we'll put in, try to do here is incorporate sound, because Larry had a lot of music from the day, which is sort of approximately 1959, 1960. And he was very well versed in classical music as well. So there's lots of music in there, and there's also Indigenous song.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've are having the experience now of going through the protocols to get permission to use the songs that Larry has indicated. One of which is the Haida thing that we're working, and that takes time, right? It takes time to meet with the right people and whatnot, and we would have been hard pressed if we were already performing to have put all that in place.
I honestly, now that we're here in this time right now, I couldn't even imagine like getting prepped to go to Get Academics this weekend.
Yeah. Well, we would have done it, but
yeah,
we would have been really, really stressed, and we'll still be stressed when we get to that point, because it's a new experience, but we will be very well prepared.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with how well everyone is coming along, because you're never really sure, but just to see how Nick has developed from like day one into to where he is, and Matt as Paul, everyone is really bringing their game to their scenes.
Yeah, and that was the scariest thing for me was to after I decided I was going to do the play was, how am I going to cast it? Because in the past I'd made some feeble attempts at it. And the hardest thing to do in theater, especially if it's community theater in a smaller town, is to find that many men willing to do it. You'll get that many women easily. So I just thought, well, I got to put it out there. And when I go for my walks, because sometimes I talk to Larry, he used to live around the corner, so I chat with him as I go by his house. And so I just said, I'm going to put it out there. I'm just going to put it out there to the creator and the universe. Please come. Be raw talent and please come.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. It was destined.
Yeah, because you got, how many is there? 5, or there's 4?
6.
4 older males, 4 teenage males,
and 2 boys.
2 boys.
Yeah, and then
they all essentially have to be of First Nations ancestry.
Yeah.
So you're really, I don't know, like seeing the Wasagachek was a big eye-opening, because here in the North we don't really have that theatrical scene yet, or built up whatsoever.
Right.
I don't really know anyone who's been in a play before.
Yeah. It was, and the thing about the Indigenous theater, just like Indigenous tourism, is growing leaps and bounds. So it's it's only going to get bigger, and there's no reason why we can't have our own little theater company up here. We can take our shows to Vancouver. What I'm hoping with Bunk is that we actually take it across the country.
That would be the dream.
That's the next step.
I'll be getting youth shot into my face. How do you do that? What do you get?
Botox?
Yeah, Botox. To look younger. How do I look younger?
Don't lose all the weight. That'll keep you looking young.
Well, that is going to be very easy. Wow.
Yeah.
Easy.
So no, I think all of that'll fall into place as well. And now we have the opportunity to sort of just add another component. We've got our actors, and you got like a ton of time to learn your lines, but really sooner is better. But that's another conversation that we can have.
I think I just when we're there and doing it with each other, I find it easier because I have that crutch of it being right in front of me. So it's I've been working on it, and now that I'm not a stay-at-home dad and I'm back at work, it's tough to find more time to do it.
Right.
And now that we have all this time, like, it's not.
Well, the thing is that what happens in real life, and it'll happen in real life, even though we're Zooming and radio playing it, we'll have to find a way to say, okay, you have to sit on your script. Show me that you're sitting on your script so you cannot read it. Yeah. And then we'll put a prompter up there.
I think the first couple scenes I'm pretty good. But after that it gets pretty hairy.
It will come. It'll just come.
Yeah. I really hope it does.
For the purposes right now, what you're doing is now the lines will just start becoming part of your DNA. And then when we get back into the rehearsal hall and on your feet, it won't be as terrifying as it.
Yeah, it's not going to be too bad. But yeah, Bunk number 7, it's definitely going to be a project for everyone.
Yeah. So what we're hoping is after we kind of promote it with a trailer up to Indigenous Day, that by the end of August, we will have the full play streaming. Mm-hmm. So we'll record it, and it gives us the opportunity to actually go in and do things over. If we go completely live, then if the power goes out in Lac Alsap, like it's done 2 or 3 times now when we're zooming in an actor, then we're kind of hooped. So that's one of the reasons to sort of pre-record it and then stream it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the way to go as of right now. But with things getting late, it seems like the world's just kind of like somewhat gone back to normal, which is kind of has me a bit nervous.
It's sort of like one day you were driving into town and there were no cars, and the next day there were so many cars that...
Unless you've been to Canadian Tire. Have you been there?
Yeah, but not... it wasn't busy when I was there, but that's like 3 weeks ago.
It is insane there every day. I go every day. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we've obviously been doing yard improvements,
right?
And staying, but
that's the other thing is everybody's like doing their yards when they never would have normally.
My yard has never looked better. I'm so happy with that. I think I might go mow my lawn again today. Like every other day I want to get it down to a fine line so I can start golfing on it. So that might actually ruin it a bit. But
golf course out front.
That's the dream. I also want a couple more fruit trees. Because I heard they're pretty easy. It's like lazy gardening, right? You just plant them and then...
They're very pretty, like for when they're blooming, the fruit trees.
Yeah, we have a giant cherry tree in my backyard.
Yeah?
It's massive. It's impossible to get the cherries off.
Don't they draw it? Can't you shake it or...
it's
too big?
It's too big. Mm-hmm. You can't. And it's kind of brittle, like a lot of the branches are ready to come down. Mm-hmm. It's kind of dangerous, actually. It's a dangerous cherry tree. But yeah, there you have it. I think it's a good way to end on cherry trees. Marianne, thank you for coming in. Any final words? Any final thoughts?
Well, just thanks for being part of this production, and and thank you to CFNR for wanting to be part of it as well, and just I'm just so excited. I've never been this excited in my entire life about a theater project, and I can get pretty excited. So I'm looking forward to showing the work. And the one last thing I would say also is that we are putting in place supports, and we're going to be looking at how we're going to do that when we're streaming it, so that people, if it does trigger a memory and you need support, we'll make sure that there are IRS counselors available for you to reach out to, because that's just as important as anything else, because the experience, I expect, will be very profound for some people.
Definitely, with intergenerational,
Yeah.
And just it's touched everybody's lives, especially here in Northern Canada, and everywhere really. So that's going to be definitely something to check out, and obviously follow us on social media. Bunk's number 7 for whatever
the Raven Collective. We've got a Facebook page.
Yeah, so like the Raven Collective for updates on upcoming shows on the interweb. This has been episode number 2 of Love, Peace, Oolichan, Grease.